Hello, everyone. It's Jim Biringer here, NHLRumors.com. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment below. We're back with another Rumors video. This time, we're looking at the New Jersey Devils, Montreal Canadiens, Calgary Flames, and the Winnipeg Jets. And look, as we discussed in our last video, we looked at some snubs for U.S. roster, the Canadian roster, who could be potentially as injured reserve players, potential injuries for both squads. But we're heating up before that Olympic break and that roster freeze like we had for the holidays in the National Hockey League. Remember the March 6th trade deadline 12 days after the NHL resumes and gets back to action, and the Olympics testing the ice. Well, there were some holes in the ice over in Milan. The playing surface, we'll see how it goes off. The NHL, the IIHF, the IOC plans to have this tournament where they actually will finish this thing is another story for another time. But the ice surface, they're testing an event right now. The Italian Cup is going on. We'll see what reports are, but accommodation's not great. Locker room's not great. Ice surface is met at best. But we have to talk about the National Hockey League on ice product, and we have to start in New Jersey with the New Jersey Devils. And things are just not going well for the Devils right now. Over the last couple of games, outscored 16-2, 9-0 Tuesday night on Long Island, and everybody thought change would be coming when the Devils returned to practice on Wednesday. Sheldon Keefe is still the head coach as of now. Tom Fitzgerald is still the general manager of the New Jersey Devils as of now. But there's a lot to break down because Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet reported, as we've all kind of been figuring this out, is this team is mentally soft, this team is mentally weak, and the Quinn Hughes saga that the Devils tried to get the third brother to New Jersey just has mentally hurt this team on the ice. Every little thing that could go wrong is going wrong. And Sheldon Keefe said that this team is not as good as many thought they were. They have a lot of work to do to become a real hockey team. He's not concerned over his job security. He handled the questions great. He understands the business, but they have a lot of ways to go before becoming a real hockey team. And they're missing some things. He knows what they need. They know what they need. And here we are. And he wants to be part of the solution. And I think the general manager has handcuffed them a little bit. And it was a similar comment to what we saw last year on Long Island with the Islanders, with Patrick Waugh. Kind of called out the general manager at the time, Lou Lamoriello, for not giving him the proper roster to implement his system. And I think that's something similar going on in New Jersey. And it's kind of backwards. And the general manager is kind of working in reverse and counter correcting. And here's the issue. Last year, Jack Hughes is out for the season. You had LTIR space. You ended the season with LTIR space. Cap space you could have used didn't do anything. Yes, it takes two to tango, but they had opportunities to improve that roster and go deep. And they just don't have the mental fortitude. Once a player gets hurt, multiple players get hurt. It's us against the world mentality. They don't have it right now. And the year before, they had Dougie Hamilton out, and they didn't use the cap space. Now they want to add, they want to bring in grit, sandpaper, and all that, but they don't have the cap space. Dougie Hamilton, Andre Palat have used their no trade protection to veto some trades. Nico Hischier was part of the Vancouver package. He said no. Jesper Bratt said no. The team is hamstrung because of what the general manager has done to this roster, the roster construction. They're too small. They want to add a scoring winger, as Darren Dreger reported. But as we've been reporting on NHLRumors.com, DevilsNation.com, as I've been reporting on TSN, 690, and multiple other outlets, including the Rob Peterson show, Devils have been looking for scoring winger ever since they lost Tyler Toffoli. So this is a GM problem that he created. He traded him for nothing, got cap space, but never replaced it. But the answers were in the room, but it's hard to score goals. And here we are. And they still need depth center, and they still need one or two more centers to take the pressure off Nico Hischier. There's just a lot going on, and they can't do anything. And they don't want to make anything out of emotion, but these next two games on the road are going to be really crucial because it's really going to determine the fate and the direction of this team. Because if they go back to Newark and they continue to play this way, you can't allow Sheldon Keefe to be the head coach of that team against the Seattle Kraken. It just can't happen. So if they're working on external options, which multiple sources have told me that they are, they're not going to look internally to solve this problem. They are going to have to look externally to bring in a disciplinarian, to put the Hughes brothers in line, to put Luke Hughes, when he makes mistakes on the bench, Jack Hughes, the same thing. And ownership is allowing this to happen because they want the publicity stunt, because they wanted the Hughes brothers together. But let's just face it, the Devils never had the assets to give to Vancouver, as despite Vancouver giving them every opportunity to do this. And this is where they are. And it's crippling the team, and they have to move money. And they've tried to move Dougie Hamilton. He's got a 10-team trade list. Andre Plot's got the same thing. So he's only going to go to teams that are winners, and those winners don't really have the cap space right now. And look, does it make sense for Andre Palat to go back to Tampa? Maybe. The Devils, I mean, it's just not worked out. He just doesn't fit, and that's okay. And they tried an experiment, it just doesn't work anymore. And the Devils need the cap space to get Jonathan Kovacevic back, and he's still not ready, but he's getting closer because every day he's in practicing with the team in a regular jersey. He's not in a no contact sweater. You know, at what point does the league step in and say, hey, is he ready to go? Now maybe he won't come back until after the Olympic break. But the Devils have to find a way to get money. The Devils have to find a way to clear the cap space. And they may not be able to do it before the trade deadline. They may not even be able to do it before the Olympic break. This may be an off-season problem, and you may have to start over and figure out who wants to be in New Jersey. Because right now, this team just doesn't look like they are actually a contender. This team doesn't look anywhere near where they need to be. They're really in the Buffalo Sabres territory, despite the 2 playoff appearances over the last couple of years. They're just not ready to compete and ready to win, and they need to start looking at fundamentally, going back and looking at historically what the team was to be successful. I think what Montreal did, bringing in a guy like Philip Deneau, Alexander Texier, bringing in NHL quality depth to bring and take pressure off a guy like Nico Hischier, who shouldn't do everything, shouldn't penalty kill, shouldn't go up against the team's best players, take on all this, and he can't finish, and he can't score. Yeah, he scored 35 goals last year. But again, when you get tired and you get all these shots, the quality of shot is not there. So I think if they take a page out of the Canadiens playbook, bring in a defensive center that could take the pressure off Hischier, this opens things up offensively. That's what the Devils did for years, and teams tried to do that. And I think they have to get back to that, and you're going to have to figure out a way to do it. Tampa's trying to recreate it. They're trying to go back after Blake Coleman again from Calgary, who's available. Nazem Kadri's name's out there. Rasmus Andersson's name out there. But what are the price tags for those guys? Right? So I think Tampa has got to look at that. Obviously, with the Flames, they were on a little bit of a run there, moving up in the standings, getting close to the wild card spot, but they've kind of tailed off, losers the last couple. So that the noise around Blake Coleman's going to pick up again. The noise around Nazem Kadri is going to pick up again. The noise around Rasmus Andersson is going to pick up again. And Kadri wants to be there, but if there's an offer that they can't refuse, and it's an offer that makes them think about trading Kadri, they're probably going to do it. Blake Coleman has say where he wants to go. I would imagine teams like Florida, Tampa, Dallas will be interested in him. Montreal, maybe that could be a potential fit. But again, what do they have to give up? And with the Montreal Canadiens, you look at the Montreal Canadiens, and they spoke. Ken Hughes spoke about the team and where they are, and they are ahead of schedule. And they've made some nice additions like Texier, like Deneau, and they're starting to put things together. They definitely want to add in the top 6. Ideally, they would like to get a 2C, but as Kent Hughes says, Oliver Kapanen can be a 2C in their future, could consistently be a 2C, but maybe that's like, okay, well, if he can do it, we found it internally, a cheaper option. Maybe we don't have to get rid of assets, which they have. And Jeff Gordon said at the beginning of the year, they have assets to trade. They have the ability to move these assets now. But I think, as Kent Hughes said, it depends on the cost. They want to add, depends on the cost. Is it what's the contract they're bringing in? Is it a player on a 4-year term, 5-year term? Is it a player? Ideally, they would like somebody on a short-term deal, 1, 2, 3-year deal with some valuable money. That's why Kiefer Sherwood makes sense. Blake Coleman makes sense. Guys like that have, a couple years left or going to be UFA at the end of the year, though I think the price tag for the UFA would be a little bit higher. But the Canadiens are in a good situation where they've stockpiled all these assets. They have salary structure. They have their core locked up, and they're taking the next step. And they're ahead of the New Jersey Devils, and they're doing what the Devils should be doing right now. Again, Montreal is a team. You never know what Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon is doing. Obviously, Danault and Texier just made sense. Familiarity with Danault takes the pressure off Suzuki, and they're starting to click again. And Slavkovsky moving now was just a right idea. Again, they want to look for NHL depth. They want their guys to be able to develop in the AHL. So we're going to see where Kent Hughes and the Montreal Canadiens go. But I think this is the direction that they're in, is a Blake Coleman type, just a little bit added, a little bit of jam, a little bit of size. Because like the Devils, Canadiens are still a little bit small up front. And that was the big knock on them for years. And I think the Devils are in that territory as well. That's why they want the jam. But again, with the standings the way they are, and teams, not too many sellers. St. Louis, Vancouver. Is Nashville really a seller? Not really a lot of sellers out there. Prices are high. What would they have to give up? Something to watch there. Same with, like I said, same with Calgary. When does Calgary, Vancouver, we kind of know everything's open for business, but Vancouver's going to Vancouver because they're still talking to Sherwood about an extension, 5x5, maybe similar to the Dvorak deal. But is it diminishing returns because he's having a career season? Get the most you get from this asset, but they like him in the room. So does he be there past the trade deadline? Teams are going to call. They're going to value him. I think second round pick and a prospect is what's being reported out there by multiple outlets, TSN and Sportsnet. Could they get a first? Probably. But they have to decide what the direction is of this team, because they have, again, Connor Garland's out there. They're still, quote unquote, open for business. As Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin try to reshape this roster like they do every year. But at least they know they have a plan, an idea, not this hybrid retool rebuild, because Patrick Allvin right now is just a figurehead, and Jim Rutherford is really running the ship there. But Calgary has to admit, when are they out of this thing? How many more losses are going to start to pile up before this Flames team decides, hey, we got to pull the chute on this thing? If we can unload Rasmus Andersson, if we can unload a Blake Coleman, that'll be good. But again, Blake Coleman likes it there. The Flames like him. So definitely Rasmus Andersson does one of Kadri and or Coleman move. And then finally, staying in Canada, you look at it, the Winnipeg Jets finally probably going to get a win. They had some scoring woes. Their offense is starting to pick up. But again, it was Kevin Cheveldayoff, similar to Tom Fitzgerald in New Jersey, that caused these problems. You let Nikolai Ehlers walk out the door. He didn't treat him the right way when he was there. Didn't utilize him the right way. Could use a guy like Nick Ehlers right now. There's no 2C there, no second line center. They need a second line center. Could Andrew Mangiapane be a fit? Yes. He's been connected to him. Does Jesperi Kotkaniemi make sense? Because he's on the market now. The Carolina Hurricanes are listening on them, and woof, what a bad offer sheet that was. The offer sheet at the time was okay. It makes sense for the 1 year, and then they signed him to that deal, and he's got 4 years left at $4.82 million, and he just never developed in the right way, and the Canadiens were smart to just let him go. Okay, you want a revenge offer sheet? That's fine. Here you go. You can have the player because we're not matching it. We'll take everything that you're going to give us. But the Jets have to decide what they're going to do. They got to add. Is Luke Schenn available? Seems like he wants a change of scenery. So some teams near the bottom struggling right now. Again, does New Jersey decide, hey, let's try to get some assets here. Let's try to open up some cap space so we can do some things and hopefully land a big fish. But do those players want to be there, knowing if they get what they want in their contract, they're going to be asked to leave? But again, Vegas doesn't have that problem, but guys want to go play in Vegas. They're building a culture. Right now, I don't know how many people want to go play in New Jersey anymore, considering all the turmoil that's going on in the locker room, on the ice, off the ice. It's a long way to go for the New Jersey Devils to be a true contender still in this league. Goaltending woes. Winnipeg has the goaltender. Their top guys are delivering. They just everywhere else they're struggling. Calgary went on a nice little run. Is Nashville going to open some things up with Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Ryan O'Reilly? We'll see with them. Seattle Kraken's still got some players that teams are looking at, but they're starting to win, turn some things around. Again, you see all the teams that we've named before, right? But the one team like New Jersey just didn't get that bump. Nashville got the bump. St. Louis got a bump for a little bit. Seattle's got the bump. Toronto got the bump a little bit. But unlike Tom Fitzgerald, the 7 Canadian teams, general managers came out. Brad Treliving twice tripled down on his head coach, instilled confidence in the room, fought through the issues, got it together, dug down, and understood what it takes to win. Let's see if changes are coming in New Jersey. We'll find out. Things can't continue to be what they are on the ice right now for the New Jersey Devils. They're going to be patient. Don't expect change to come right now. But if this doesn't turn around, you got to expect some type of change. But it'd be on the players that cost another head coach their job, similar to what was going on in the Rangers. So is it the New Jersey Rangers or the New York Devils? Because it seems like the last 2 seasons, it's turmoil because of off the ice issues. But stay tuned for more NHL rumors. Stay on the website, NHLRumors.com. I'm Jim Biringer. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below. We'll be back again next week for another video. We're going to try to get these up 2-3 times a week for you guys as we head into the Olympic break and into the trade deadline. Once again, Jim Biringer, NHLRumors.com. Guys, take care.